Yeah, hi there. These comments are for 6815, and I am Professor Buckoff, your English 104 professor here at California State University, San Bernardino. So how are you doing today? I just read your essay. This one, not scoring very high, I'll be honest with you. You got 62% out of 100. So what exactly happened here? So let me look at my notes here. So I put two main comments. I put number one, topic is undeveloped, and you did not even attempt to answer the second part of the assignment, the interpretation area. My second comment is lacking a thesis. Your essay does not have a coherent organization. So if you look at the rubrics on this one, where is it? Part 2, you got 1 point out of 5, and the depth develops ideas in depth with strong appropriate examples, data, experiences. You got 1 out of 5 on that one. Part 3, the writer makes it clear whether his or her experience affirms, revises, or refutes Durst's theory. I gave you 2 points out of 5 on that. The sentence style grammar was actually pretty good. You didn't lose many points there. So let's talk about the thesis first, and then we'll address the maybe 1 or 2 other areas of the paper. Remember, the thesis frames what you're trying to do in the project, right? So I looked in your first paragraph near the end. You said this once very unique trend that has every common man drooling over is now just a sudden memory within a matter of weeks or days. There's really no direction there. In the beginning, you say trends appear at different stages. These trends are composed of very small groups. You kind of talk about Durst's cartoon, but you don't acknowledge it or reference it, which was kind of odd. But you really have no thesis. So if you have a thesis, it'll sound something like this. See if this makes sense. So this writer, notice how his first paragraph here is relatively short, not really long like yours, but he says, I will summarize Durst's theory, explain the meaning of it, and compare his theory with an experience to a fad that I chose. So he does 3 things. He's summarizing Durst's ideas, explaining the hidden message, and then comparing Durst's theory to a fad that he adopted. Those are the 3 things, right? So then, when you look at his essay, in each of his topic sentences, he restates those ideas. So, for example, paragraph 2, he says, Durst explains his theory in a short comment called The City Published in blah, blah, blah. So the topic sentence there matches the first key point of his thesis. In his second paragraph, or listen to this transition sentence. This writer says, in addition to the theory of stages or fads, Durst has also put a hidden message in his theory, a message discussing peer pressure. And then he goes on and explains that. Now the next paragraph, he says, in Durst's comic, he left images and quotes that reveal his hidden message of peer pressure. The writer goes on to develop that. Then on his final page, he says, to check how precise Durst's theory is, I put his theory to the test by comparing it to a fad that I have adopted. So now I know he's now moving on to the third part of the project. Why do I know that? Because that's what he says in his topic sentence. In his topic sentence, guess what? It connects back to the third point of his thesis in the first paragraph. So we have this connection between the old and the new information. Yours, I don't know what's going on. In your second paragraph, you say it's quite fascinating how societies have these strange fashion irregularities and make them a uniform vision in the fashion world and pop culture. What does that mean? How does that relate to what you're doing? There's no connection. Page 2, you say in the topic sentence, the spread of a trend tends to originate from high school and college students that popularize it, making the awareness spread like an epidemic disease. Again, what is the purpose there? Are you now moving on to the second part of the assignment? If so, why not use the word hidden message? You might say, in addition to explaining Durst's theory, I will also examine a hidden message that Durst communicates to his audience. If you did that, you're now tying the first and the second parts of the writing together, and then you're announcing the topic of that paragraph. So really, it's just not developed enough. You don't have a coherent organization, and on this one, unfortunately, your score dropped all the way down to 62. So you got to give me your game on every writing project, right? Every one. Now, the third writing project is going to be a little bit easier, in my opinion. I don't know, though. We'll see how you do, right? So for you, if you have any doubts, even a little doubt, come by my office, let's talk about it. Or you can come by, talk to me right after class, and make sure you're prepared. So if you want to put together an outline of how you want to work on the final project, and specifically, I would encourage you to develop a thesis. Develop a thesis which frames all 4 parts of the project. Let me take a look at that. We'll see how that works. All right, anyway, thank you very much. Happy May Day, and I look forward to reading your final paper. And remember, bring your game. Got to make it a little higher on this final paper. All right?